Hello, hello. I'm back. We live. It is Tuesday, July 29th. I miss y'all so much. I am so happy to be here. I'm not happy about what I'm reporting, but I'm happy to be back. It's been a minute, a good few weeks, right? And we'll get into all the things. We just need to let the algorithm do what it does, if it does anything. So we're going to give it a couple minutes. And then, we'll be back to do the thing. I appreciate you in advance. If you are in the replay, go ahead and skip ahead a few minutes to get to the commentary. If you are in the chatter in the bushes, hang tight because your girl is coming right on back, child. Can I get a sound check, please? Can I get a sound check? Give me a one in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. I'll be right with you. Woo, child, that is loud. Woo, peace, world, peace. Welcome or welcome back to Goddess Dawn Speaks, aka the $1 trillion Goddess Baby. I am back live after a long break. a little bit of a break. That trial kind of did it to me. And it wasn't really the trial, more so the outcome of the trial. It was so disappointing. It was like letting the air out your balloon, or, know, I don't know, going to a party and it ended up being whack. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I'm back. I had to like figure out how I'm gonna do this. What do I want to talk about? I mean, there's so many things going on in the world, and a lot of it, most of it ain't good, child. Ain't none of it good. So hopefully you guys are well, staying in prayer, staying in shape, meaning mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things. I want to say what's up to a few of y'all in the chat. Wow, Wayne, of course, thank you so much for doing what you do. I see you, Queen Keish. Hello, hello. Juti, baby. What's going on, Ma? Yeah, that verdict was something. That verdict. I was just telling somebody on TikTok in the comments of a video about this bond request that somebody posted that what did he say? He said they mad that he beat the case. You can't say somebody beat the case when they got found guilty of two charges. So no, he didn't beat the case, but he did beat a lifetime sentence. So, I guess with that being said, there's something to say about him getting off. If you want to say he got off, you could say that he got off from being in prison for the rest of his life. But we're talking about today this bond motion. Diddy and his team, he can't wait till October 3rd, apparently, to find out his sentencing. While he's sitting in there, he needs to get out. And he is doing so by filing a bond motion. Okay, and we're going to get into it. Okay, let me switch over to TMZ real quick. I have the actual document, the motion up as well, but this is going to shut the music off, but it's okay. I miss my little background music. I have the document pulled up, but I want to start off just with TMZ's take. Basically saying that Diddy is asking to be let out of jail and saying he's a nonviolent John, because basically with the Mann Act charges that he was found guilty of is prostitution, basically paying for prostitution, paying for travel for the purpose of prostitution. And so with that said, he's saying, I'm just a John. I'm just somebody who paid for sex. And what they're saying is that he didn't participate in the sex. So being that he didn't participate in the sex, why is he being penalized? So what TMZ is saying here is that Diddy is taking another bite at the apple because his legal team just filed a new motion for bail. And they say he's the only man in America behind bars for hiring male sex workers to bang his girlfriend. Diddy's legal team, spearheaded by Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, just sent a new bail package proposal over to Judge Arun Subramanian, rattling off a list of reasons why they believe Diddy should be released from jail before his October 3rd sentencing. In the docs obtained by TMZ, Diddy's lawyers argue most folks convicted of Mann Act charges, Diddy was found guilty on 2, are released from custody before sentencing. They're like, why is this an exception? Okay, let me see. Keep reading. Why is this an exception? They're asking. Now, I believe the judge had him stay in jail because the judge still had that tape of him beating Cassie in that hotel hallway in his mind, and also probably came to the conclusion that he's guilty of that RICO. Now, of course, as a judge tending a jury trial, he can't, I don't know, maybe he could have said, hell to your verdict, I'm going to make it this. I don't know if he could have done that or not, but I know that he can, with the sentencing, I know there's guidelines that are expected to be adhered to. However, I believe the judge can sentence at his discretion. And being that he kept him locked up for these few months before sentencing, he might have something in mind that people who are advocating for Diddy aren't going to like. Hopefully that is the case. Now, when you listen to these pundits on the news, YouTube, wherever, a lot of these people, the lawyers that are out here, especially, are basically saying he's going looking at maybe 2 years or less. A lot of people don't even think 2 years. A lot of people are saying on October 3rd he's probably going to get released. But this is all based on what the judge decides. So Diddy's camp says it's ridiculous that he's behind bars because he was only convicted of hiring professional male escorts who were not minors. They have to put who were not minors specifically because, of course, if minors were involved in this case, he would be looking at a whole different situation, a whole lot more time. And it says to have sex with his longtime girlfriend as part of threesomes. They say it was all a part of Diddy, Cassie, and Jane living a swinger lifestyle. And they've been saying that from the start, even before the trial. They were saying this in the press. They're just swingers. Now, his lawyers say a lot has changed in terms of society's view on sex since the Mann Act was passed 115 years ago in June of 1910. And they claim Diddy never had sex with the guys that he hired. Only his girlfriends did, his ex-girlfriends. That I do not believe. That, in my opinion, is a lie. I believe, and I'm basing this on the multitude of civil suits, the other many of stories that we've heard firsthand from people who've had experiences with Diddy and who have had people who have had negative experiences with Diddy. And Diddy likes to have sex with men. Diddy likes dildos. Diddy is a fluid sexual man. He might even, I think he might be gay, to be honest. Nothing wrong with it if you're honest about it and not putting people's lives in jeopardy. I know something came out recently as well about the fact that the STD or STI situation had come out from the lawsuit from Dave Clayton, I think his name is, who was named. He didn't testify in the trial, but he was named in the trial. Cassie brought him up. I think he might have been in some of the text messages, but he was one of the escorts, the entertainers, whatever you want to call them, who is now suing Cassie, apparently. I don't know if he's suing both Cassie and Diddy, but I know that he's basically blaming Cassie, saying they gave him an STD. Now, if that's the case, I'm sure he's not the only one. Some other people had came out, and this is all rumors and speculation, of course. However, they're saying that Diddy was the one who gave Will Smith the STD, and that's why Jada officially cut ties with him as far as the marriage. They didn't get officially divorced. They just made a mutual decision, I guess, to live separate lives in the marriage because she don't want to put her life in danger. You go ahead and you diddle and daddle with your STD people, your partners. Leave me out of it. I'm going to stay over here with August Alsina or whoever else she's dealing with. Whoever else, MC Light. I'm just saying. I think Jada's pretty fluid herself. I think everybody in the industry, pretty much in a high profile industry position where they're, famous. A lot of these people are fluid, bisexual, gay. I won't say all, but it seems to be tipping the scale when it comes to people being fluid or gay versus being straight. And I think it has something to do with the industry indoctrinating people into this lifestyle, to be honest. So I'm going to go over to the actual documents. Let's see what he's actually proposing as far as his bail package is concerned, because he actually has another bail package in here. Let me scroll down to the bail package. Now, the actual motion is filled with legal jargon, legal mumbo jumbo, a lot of case precedents and case law in here to back up their claims that Diddy is being, held unfairly. Now, let me get down to the bail package. Proposed bail package. Based on the exceptional circumstances set out above, they say, we move for release on the following conditions. Combs will sign a $50 million bond secured by Mr. Combs' home in Miami. The bond will be co-signed by 3 financially responsible people. Combs will reside in his home in Miami. Combs' travel will be limited to the Southern District of Florida, the Southern District of New York for attorney meetings, as well as airports necessary to travel between the two. The defendant will be placed under the express supervision of the U.S. Pretrial Services Agency, or PTS, and must report to that agency as directed by PTS. And finally, Combs' passport will be surrendered to pretrial services, and he shall not apply for any other passport. Now, my question is this. What up with that private jet, the other one that he didn't sell? The one they say was parked in Maui when they last asked for bond. Does he need a passport to travel on his own private jet? Is anybody checking for that if he has his own private jet? I'm just putting it out there, wondering. I noticed it wasn't mentioned. It could be mentioned in somewhere in this document as far as that plane and the promises of him not getting on it. I did scroll through some of the document. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but personally, I didn't see anything with regard to that. Now, they are saying if the court finds more extreme conditions necessary, the court may also add any or all of the following conditions: home detention, private security approved by the court and pretrial services with the cost borne by the defendant, mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, electronic surveillance of the defendant, or any other condition the court deems necessary. With any and all of the conditions posed above, Mr. Combs can show by clear and convincing evidence that he does not pose a danger to the community, and he would fully surrender to supervision by pretrial services to ensure that the court knows that Mr. Combs does not pose a danger to any person. And they stress any person. Now, with regard to the electronic device that they're proposing, or that they're saying, if you want to put electronic surveillance on him, there is a footnote that says Mr. Combs' homes are also equipped with electronic surveillance currently and can be shared with PTS at their request in order to ensure compliance with any visitation policies that PTS sets. So they're basically saying you can use his surveillance. You don't even need to pay any extra money, use any extra people or resources to get this set up. He already has it handled. So let me see what else is in here that I thought was worth mentioning, because it's just a lot of bullshit in my opinion. But let's see. Okay, let me find. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo in here. This is a 12-page motion. They say Sean Combs is in an exceptional situation as a post-verdict pre-sentence inmate at the MDC, and his conditions of confinement at the facility qualify as exceptional circumstance. Now, they're noting a case under Chavez. And basically just saying that the judge in that case found that the conditions at the MDC are dreadful in many respects, but that it warrants particular emphasis. Continued reports of inordinate periods of lockdown, claims that the facility provides inadequate and or substantially delayed necessary medical care, a particular risk in this case, and general issues about the conditions at the facility. And they brought that up a few times here, saying that he's not safe. He doesn't feel safe. It says these conditions have not abated in Mr. Combs' detention at the facility. As the court is aware, during Mr. Combs' incarceration at the MDC, the facility was subject to an interagency sweep that was designed to achieve a shared goal of maintaining a safe environment for both our employees and the incarcerated individuals housed at the MDC Brooklyn. So they're saying that, they're quoting that from Judge Furman, but they're saying that there's a significant issue at the MDC related to the safety of employees and incarcerated individuals that require outside law enforcement action from multiple agencies to address. Importantly, the MDC, as a jail, has a significant law enforcement presence within its walls 24 hours per day that are equipped with investigatory and often unregulated authority. Unregulated authority. So basically, we don't trust the guards. You know, they're here all day, every day, but, you know, their authority is unregulated. And we don't like it. We don't want him to be subjected to this. So that's why they're saying they needed outside law enforcement agencies, because they can't trust the guards. And they say to ensure the safety of the MDC is an admission that serious violence, mayhem, and chaos is occurring within the MDC that requires more than a Band-Aid. And they put raid in parentheses to say that that raid was just a Band-Aid to this problem. Instead of a Band-Aid, it needs surgery, they say. Now, I'm pretty sure that the conditions of the MDC didn't just automatically become this when Diddy got locked up. This has been the case for however long, probably however long the MDC has been the MDC. But now, since Diddy is there, it's, you know, it's a problem. It's a problem enough where he can't be there. So I don't know why anybody else couldn't argue the same thing, because he's not any more important than any other human being. So they say, indeed, we are aware of ongoing threats of violence and actual violence in the facility, such that Mr. Combs' safety is constantly at risk. So his safety is at risk. But if you let him out, everybody else's safety is going to be at risk, right? Okay, maybe they're addressing the plane here, because there's a section about there's no risk of flight or danger to the community. So they say Sean Combs is not a risk of flight, nor is he a danger to the community or to any specific people. And I think this is regurgitated from previous bond requests. But they're saying, given the undisputed facts that Mr. Combs voluntarily came to New York to surrender in this case, which is not true, because they said he went to New York and then he enrolled in some, I think, anger management or domestic violence classes. He enrolled in some programs when he got there. So how are you turning yourself in at the same time as enrolling in self-help programs? It's not possible. You can't be in two places at the same time. Turning yourself in means you're going to jail immediately. So this is bullshit. But they say that he surrendered his passport to his lawyer 6 months before his arrest, that he paid off the outstanding mortgage on his home in Miami prior to his arrest, that he would own a home free and clear to secure any bail package, and that he has now been acquitted of the racketeering conspiracies. And they can throw that in now, because that's a more recent occurrence in this case that maybe they can hang on to and hope that this could be the ringer they need, that he was not convicted of the RICO or the sex trafficking charges. So there's no serious argument that he's a flight risk. Now, that has nothing to do with him being a flight risk, because Diddy could possibly be facing more charges, whether federally or state, whether in New York or LA or Miami or wherever else. He could possibly face more charges. You don't think if Diddy has the chance that he's going to skip out of the country to avoid any further persecution, like your boy Russell Simmons, who's been living in Bali for the past however many years, because he knew that he was going to be facing or was facing some serious charges from many accusers. Of course he's going to skip the country. Of course he's going to get on that private jet. It has nothing to do with the fact that he beat the RICO, because, again, more charges. He's got so many civil cases on top of that too that he probably don't want to deal with. That's another reason for him to be able or have motivation to skip the country, to get out of the country to a non-jurisdictional space, place, and where he can be safe and live his life how he wants to live his life. He owns his home free and clear, and he wants to use it for bail. He could also just sell it and accumulate, with all the other things he can liquidate and have plenty of money to live off of, especially in another country where it's not as expensive to live. He can live like a king in many other places. He could probably buy his own island at this point if he hasn't done so. Let me come over to the comments. Juti said, fine to be fluid in your sexuality, not in your morality. Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Juti said, passports are for country entrances. He could fly without it. Oh, okay. So when you come into the country. Yeah, I'm trying to think. When I've traveled, I'm trying to think. When I show my passport, is typically, I thought it was, so when you enter a new country, they're asking to see. I thought it was leaving the country that you needed the passport to leave, to have your ticket and to leave. So I wasn't sure about hopping on a private jet and going to some little island or some little place. Some places, they're probably, listen, you get them people enough money, they will let the man walk in and turn a blind eye. I believe they would. There's so much corruption out there. Queen Keish, he is not done with the classes that fast. No, he didn't even, I don't even think, they said he enrolled in these classes after he got his verdict in the jail. So the classes he supposedly enrolled in when he got to New York, he never took because he ended up getting arrested. Queen Keish said, keep him in there. He'll just find new victims. And that is the absolute truth. And he might revisit his old victims, honestly. Like the security won't. His own surveillance can be tampered with. And that is so true too. His own security surveillance can't be trusted. Do you know that stuff can be manipulated? Don't y'all watch movies and TV shows where they need to freeze the surveillance so they could do something behind the scenes? What's going on, Trav? Exactly, because he's a celebrity. Right. He's pulling an R. Kelly 2.0. He's trying to listen. R. Kelly couldn't do it, but Diddy seems to have more resources, money, a better legal team, of course, and he's gotten an edge on this thing. But to be honest, and this goes for any and everybody in this world, including myself, karma's a bitch, okay? And there's only so much you could get away with. And for only so long in this life. And whether it's public or not, those consequences, like some things happen to people that we will never see. Like Diddy could be suffering from certain consequences that we wouldn't know about because it's in his private life, like an internal hell type of thing. So for me, I kind of just give it to God. Like, I know that it's disappointing, the verdict, because like Queen Keish said, he's going to be out to hurt another person or more people. However, I done lost my train of thought already. It's disappointing. Yeah, it's disappointing that he didn't get the RICO. However, again, he could be facing more charges. He's got all those civil cases he's buried under as well. His money has been, getting drained. I'm pretty sure he's still considered, compared to the average Jane or Joe, he's still a rich man, right? But with his lifestyle and all the obligations he has and the things that he is having to spend money on, it's not the same. Having that much money for him is not really the same as a normal Jane or John who's just living a regular life. with millions of dollars. No, he's living, he got millions of dollars, but he has millions of dollars worth of spending to do. So I just, kind of take rest in the fact that he's not a happy person. He's a miserable human being who is in a horrible place right now, who's in a horrible situation in his life in general. He's got a lot more legal entanglements to deal with that I'm pretty sure he's not looking forward to dealing with. And that costs money. Those lawyers are not going to reduce their rate for Diddy. They're not going to do pro bono for Diddy. I'm pretty sure nobody's doing that. I mean, I don't think so, at least. These people have to live their own lifestyles. So how can they afford to do that? And they, using Diddy to get new clients or what? They don't need that. So this is just a joke to me. The fact that he is yet again filing for bond, but the judge has given the government till Thursday, July 31st to respond. Can't wait to see what they have to say. I will definitely come back live to discuss their response. And also, hopefully, the judge comes back real quick with a no, sir, a no, sir. I'm hoping the judge sticks to his ruling and denies the bond. But we will see. If he does get released, then he will be facing his sentence on October 3rd. So that's really all there is to it at this point. So let me see if there's anything more interesting in here. I also want to talk about real quick Mary J. Blige and Misa Hilton, because it's kind of Diddy related. I was thinking about, I wonder if Diddy was home and, wasn't facing all this legal stuff. Would Misa Hilton and Mary J. Blige, who have been friends for 30 years, child, be battling each other in court if Diddy was free? I don't know. So now they didn't want to bring up the trial evidence with regard to Cassie because they don't want to put that back in the judge's mind. So they say the court is familiar with the trial evidence and counsel will not recite it here. The relationship with Miss Ventura ended in 2018, and there was no evidence at trial, they say, and stressing no evidence at trial of any physical altercations between Combs and anyone else between their breakup in 2018 and the physical altercation with Jane in June of 2024. So they're like, oh, it was just that time with Jane and the thing with Cassie. But outside of that, when there is so much out there in the world about Diddy's violent tendencies and behaviors and past. So, but, with court and legal lease, how it works is you can only count the things that are confirmed and documented. Like he don't have no other charges. I mean, he doesn't have any other convictions or charges. I don't think. Yeah, he hasn't been charged. He since I think the Shine incident. Let me think. The Shine incident. He was in trouble for that way back early in his career. That thing that happened at the gym that killed 9 people. What else has he been involved in legally? I'm trying to think. I don't think anybody else has had the nerves, the balls, and the gall to take Diddy to go to the police on Diddy. And if they did go to the police, being that he typically had them in his pocket, it didn't go anywhere. It got buried. You remember in the trial about the LAPD destroying the fingerprint evidence on the bottle, the Molotov cocktail situation. The police intervened. Somebody intervened in that situation. So, I'm pretty sure the judge can see through all of this as well, but he can't really, he got to stick to the law. He has to stick to the law, and he can't say, well, I know he had to do with Biggie and Tupac and Kim Porter, and I know he, beat up other women and men as well. He's assaulted many of people, according to, if you want to just go to the hip hop unofficial archives, like just use Google. It's all there. So I don't know what y'all think about what Diddy might be possibly facing as far as his this bail situation. I don't see it, but you never know. Honestly, after that verdict, I really don't have a clue as to what to expect, to be honest. Anything is possible. So, and not even only that, I'm listening to all the stuff about Epstein, how Trump's trying to say it was a hoax. Now he's considering pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year sentence right now for being Epstein's madam or accomplice, co-conspirator. But the fact that they want to try to cover this up and they playing in our face, and we can't do anything about it. Trump could let that lady go free, and what can we do? Nothing. So that's why I'm saying I don't know what to expect. And I have to really unleash my grip on any outcome because it is very, very disappointing. It is actually upsetting to see people get away with stuff like that, especially because they're rich. So let's move over to Mary J. Blige real quick and Misa, because there's an update. And I talked about this case. Before I do that, let me see what y'all are saying, if anything. If he's released, you're going to riot? Is that what you're saying? Quite a moment to be alive and a sexual criminal. What a time to be alive and a sexual criminal. I mean, what happened to the Me Too movement? They were going strong and did a lot of things, and all of a sudden they just kind of got quiet. Me Too and Time's Up. They put Diddy and Weinstein. R. Kelly and Weinstein and some other white guys as well. I forgot the names, the actors, but some people really got held accountable with their actions with this Me Too movement stuff. But you don't hear anything about Me Too anymore. Kind of just went away. So there's an update on this Mary J. Blige, Misa Hilton situation. Mary J. Blige, I guess she had responded, and she said she wants this lawsuit tossed and told the judge that Misa's company is not even legit, child. She said it's not even a legit company. Now, my question is, before we get into this, where is Vado in all of this? He's supposed to be this rapper who Mary said they've been friends with him. Both of them have been friends with him for a long time. And she's been looking at him and seeing how popping he is. She had him jump on one of her tracks. And I ain't heard nothing about Vado or his music. I have not heard a thing. So Mary J. Blige, they say, wants the lawsuit filed against her by her former stylist, Misa Hilton, and I would say former best friend, and Harlem rapper Vado tossed ASAP. No more drama for these baseless claims. According to legal docs spearheaded by Mary J. Blige's lead attorney, Lisa Moore, Misa filed the lawsuit for sole purpose of harassing and causing malicious injury to Blige, causing the claims patently frivolous. Here's the 411. Misa and Mary's friendship dates back 30 years. But back in April, Misa broke the family affair by slapping Mary with a $5 million lawsuit for breach of contract over signing of Vado. So basically, they're fighting over a man. In the latest filing, Mary argues Misa filed the lawsuit to harass her, knowing the fabricated allegations would attract significant social media attention. The legendary singer is not only seeking the lawsuit's dismissal, but also vows to file counterclaims and seek sanctions over having to defend it. Her counsel has been pushing for the dismissal since May, insisting the lawsuit is absolutely baseless under the governing contracts between them, and adding that there are text messages showing Vado himself first raised the issue of firing Misa's management company. Mary and her legal team firmly believe Misa and Vado are trying to pressure her into a favorable settlement, but it looks like she's not budging. Misa standing on business. Now, I never like to see a long-term friendship in in a in a mess like this. But when you are surrounding yourself with the likes of Diddy and the people like him, people who are just nefarious. I mean, your circumstances and your environment or your life, the things going on with you in your life typically have to do with your environment, the people you're around, the type of space you are dwelling in, like all that stuff, that energy and that vibration, those vibrations, they will affect you. You be around people long enough, people in and out of jail, people just doing the wrong thing, that's going to trickle over to you somehow, some way, and affect your life in a negative way. And so, with that being said, I don't know these people. Obviously, I don't know. They could be horrible people in real life. They could be monsters, just like Diddy. I don't know. But for this situation to be taking place, and it does seem real small and petty for somebody who's been friends for 30 years to fight over a rapper, I guess unless you feel like somebody is doing you dirty and you feel like you've been betrayed, like Misa's claiming, that could be the cause. Like, fuck this friendship. I'm finna sue you, and you need to pay me $5 million because you just took money out of my pocket. But Mary to me, she's been a very elusive person. You never really see her too much on social media and things. I remember after Diddy's arrest, not long after, I think she's dating like one of her security guards or something. But she was showing video of herself. She went live, I think, and she was in Dubai, and it was so awkward. I felt like she was trying to appease the public in a sense because she didn't want to be linked to Diddy and all the stuff going on with him. So she stepped out for a second on live to show I'm human. I'm out here just living my life. I don't have nothing to do with that Diddy shit. But I haven't really seen much of her since then. We ain't heard nothing from her or about her with Diddy in this trouble he's in. She hasn't been named in any suits, as far as I know. I'm not positive, Lil Rod. I don't think she's named in any suits. So she's been able to remain free and clear of all the mess Diddy's in. But she could just be smart and keep to herself and not really get too involved. No, I firmly believe that the government, with regard to Diddy, back to Diddy. Let me throw this picture up here real quick. Hold on, child. I done messed up my screen. Back to Diddy. I firmly believe we'll use this picture. I firmly believe that the government didn't go full on as far as his charges and all the things that they could have probably included in the indictment. The stuff about the drugs, it was very minimal. There was no gay activity. Not that that's criminal, but it would speak to more truth and transparency as to what was going on with those so-called freak-offs. There also weren't any other celebrities or videos involved, where that was the whole talk before the trial. Who are we going to see or hear from? Is Justin Bieber going to be, or Usher, or are we going to hear anything confirmed that we already feel we know? And the answer is no. And they really just focused on Cassie, Jane, Mia, the women, the ex-employees, the ex-girlfriends who have their own narratives about how he treated them. But there's a lot more to Diddy and his behaviors. There's a lot more to his criminal behaviors. I'll just say his criminal life. It seems that they They went easy on him, in my opinion. But again, this was Maureen Comey heading up the prosecution, who also prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell, who in her trial, they also covered up for celebrities. They covered for the celebrities. They hid the, even in the Epstein situation, they still aren't giving us the transparency that was promised. They're protecting the elites. The celebrities lead a pathway to the elites. The celebrities get taken down, then the elites are possibly also exposed. They have the ability, the power, the authority, the resources, the everything to do so and make sure the stuff stays buried. I think personally, Diddy was brought into this situation as a humiliation punishment to show him who's boss, to let him know that we can get you if we want to. I'm pretty sure he's well aware of all the things that could have come up in the trial that didn't, all the people who could have testified um, that didn't. And of course, he had to do with some of the people who didn't testify is because of him. I'm pretty sure Young Miami. I'm not sure if she was on the books to testify, but she didn't. She could have. Gina did not testify. Who should have? I think Gina would have really get the RICO probably would have been sealed if Gina would have testified. It's unfortunate that they couldn't use that um, Tasha K interview with her as evidence. I'm pretty sure if she would have testified, they could have maybe brought that in. But being that she was MIA, there was just no way. This whole thing is just draining to me. It has drained me, child. I had to like get back to life, and now I'm trying to find a way to squeeze coming back on YouTube in, and my other channel, my poor other channel has just dried on up, and I really am, going to figure it out. But in the meantime, just look for me coming. Like I said, I'll be back. Once the government responds, I'm going to be back with their government response to this bond request. And then I'm going to decide by like next week of what other topics I'm going to cover. It's so many things. I mean, it's so many things to talk about, but it's just a matter of, is it worth my time? Trav says that's what the chef said. She didn't understand why they decided not to bring her on the stand. Yeah. And you remember when the government announced we're going to cut our witnesses short and we're going to cut, so we can cut the timeline on this trial. So I'm not sure if they did it just to save time or if they felt like it wasn't fruitful for them to do so. I'm not sure why, but it was probably a mistake that they didn't bring her on. They should have brought everybody on who was speaking with truth and transparency about the violence they've either experienced or witnessed. They could have done a lot more. I just feel like they just really wanted to show him and embarrass him and make him uncomfortable. And you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Juti. I appreciate you so much. And everybody, Trav, Wow Wayne, Queen, even though you've been MIA, I don't even know if you're still here, Queen Keish, but Queen Keish has been gone for a minute, but she's back. I appreciate you. And anybody coming into the replay, anybody in the bushes, I appreciate you so much. You might be hate watching me. I don't know. I know it's people out there who don't like the goddess here, but it's all good. Listen, I'm just here delivering information. And while Wayne said everything that is said is allegedly spoken. Everything that is said is allegedly spoken. That's funny. Well, thanks for straightening that out. That everything I'm saying might not be true. But no, but I really just wanted to reconnect, come back, and really just tell y'all how I feel about this situation. This bond request is ridiculous. Like, for real, for real.
Oh Lord, Sebas, on white, these rich motherfuckers trying to do us. Oh Lord, after everything we made.
What the hell? What the helly? What the helly berry? What the helly? That's really how I reacted when I saw the news that he has yet again filed. I thought he was sitting back, taking classes, waiting for October, being patient. But I bet you he's on his lawyer's heads. He is on those lawyers' heads. He's like, I'm paying you good fucking money to be sitting in fucking jail when I wasn't even convicted of the RICO. You couldn't get me out. You better do something else. You better try harder. I'm not trying to be here. I got things to do. I got people to beat. I got I got people to unalive. I got things to do. You understand? But this whole situation has been insane. What the hell? What the hell is right? And on that note, you said it was rushed. You said the trial was rushed. You think so? I mean, I would have been definitely down for a couple more weeks of the trial to get some more good witnesses on the stand. Because, and I didn't even cover this when it happened too. Remember when I showed the juror that talked to CNN and then he ended up talking to some other news outlets, the juror that was supposed to be an alternate juror, and he spoke out of turn in my opinion. And I said so when I talked about him going on CNN, talking about we felt like this and we thought that, and you're not supposed to be talking to anybody about the trial. So how do you know how other people were feeling and thinking? So also, you were an alternate. You weren't in the deliberating room. You don't know what they talked about in the room. You weren't there. So, and then he lied and said he didn't know he was an alternate till the end or whatever. That's not true. They tell you up front who is an alternate and who is not an alternate. So with that being said, there was talk about an investigation into the jurors. I hope that's true. I hope it's true. I haven't heard anything else about it, but that could be another situation that's being dealt with. The jury possibly being tampered with or having done things outside of the jury instructions, breaking the rules, child. So I'm hoping the judge is looking into this and that possibly this could also determine, because they can't retry him. I think even if they do find some type of collusion or whatever with the jurors, or I don't think they can retry him, but I think that the judge could make a different decision on sentencing based on the fact that he thinks that the dude got off unfairly. And I do think the judge thinks that. Again, based on the fact that he kept him locked up till sentencing. I don't think the judge trusts Diddy. I don't think he trusts him to stay put. Like I said earlier, he knows he has access to his private plane. He knows that he has a lot of, people, influential, a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of access. He has a lot of influence. This man, look at what happened with the trial. He possibly could be a magician. I know he used to, there was talk of, Gene Deal, he came out and talked about how he witnessed some ritualistic things that showed that he deals with black magic, voodoo type stuff. And I'm pretty sure he was rubbing sticks together, do whatever he could do in that jail cell, whatever books he was reading. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't show us the ones in court that had to do with magic and, or dark magic, I'll say, because I do believe in magic, but light work, not dark work. So he's a black magician, this guy. So Juti, I don't know if it's determined the jury's tampered with. I don't know what happens. I don't know. I honestly, I would need to look it up to see in other cases. I've never heard of a case. His case is so high profile. It could be just that a high profile case there was not knowledge of something like this happening, but I'm pretty sure it's happened in the past where the jury was caught after the verdict being tampered with. So I really don't know what any consequences, if any. There has to be something. There has to be. So I'll look into that, and maybe let me make a note, actually, jury tampering. When I come back with the government's response to this bond hearing, either today or I'm sorry, tomorrow or Thursday, maybe I'll have some more information on that at that time. But until then, y'all, mwah, kisses. Oh, you just checked? What it say? What they say? What they say? There could be a retrial, because I was listening to one of those pundits. Remember, I told you these pundits, they don't be half knowing what they're talking about. But I was listening to one of them, and they said they wouldn't. You can't overturn the conviction or something to that effect. But that is good news. I hope they find evidence of jury tampering. And that one juror who, I don't know who put that juror up to doing that, or if he just did that on his own to go on CNN and all these other news platforms and say what he said, and basically putting a light on the jury, a big spotlight, and showing that these people were not following the judge's instructions. And also the judge had prior information about a juror getting a text message from somebody asking if they were juror number such and such. We already had a juror removed because he was lying. So that jury was questionable in the beginning. I don't think they spent enough time on jury selection, to be honest. On the voir dire process should be more in depth. They need to do more background checks and things on the final chosen jurors before the trial starts. Something needs to be done to ensure that a lot of these little things are caught that could have been prevented. Like that one juror number 6, who got removed. They could have looked deeper into that and found out that this guy wasn't being honest. You know, if you're not being honest about that, you have an agenda to be on this jury. And this also means you're a dishonest person, which most people are, but dishonest to the point that you would, your integrity is being questioned. You know, me too. I really hope they uncover something and he has a retrial. He would freak out. I would love that for him. I agree. Give it to him. All right, y'all. It was a pleasure being here today. I miss y'all, and I will be back a day or two, depending on when the government responds to this ridiculous bond request. The only thing they have different in this bond request is the fact that he didn't get the RICO, but they argued that in court after the verdict, and he didn't get it. So I don't know what, I guess all these case laws and precedents they put in here are supposed to, make the judge take note and decide to go the way of the other judges versus his own, decision. But like I said, the judge, he could do what he wants, honestly. Thank you, Juti. Love you back. And thank you to everyone. And please tune in, child. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so. Peace and love. Have an amazing day.